Welcome to the official channel of Prosper Anang Ministries. Step into a powerful journey of faith, inspiration, and spiritual growth with Pastor Prosper, a privileged servant of Jesus. As the lead pastor of the New Testament Gospel Church in Benin City, Nigeria, Pastor Prosper is on a global mission to transform lives. He is an author, writer, fluently sharing God's Word, deep, life-changing insights right to your screen. If you are seeking spiritual guidance, a vibrant faith with God, you are in the right place.
Think about the last time you were just truly furious.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can probably feel a shadow of it right now just remembering it, right?
Exactly, yeah. Your heart rate goes up a bit. But what if I told you that the anger you felt back then didn't actually fade away?
Right. What if it just, put on a disguise?
Spot on. What if it moved into your subconscious and is, well, the actual reason you snapped at a colleague this morning? Or why you felt this sudden wave of exhaustion yesterday afternoon?
It is a really unsettling thought, to be fair.
It is. So if you have ever felt wronged, frustrated, or just plain mad, and then later realized that feelings somehow stuck around and changed the way you behave, this is a highly personal and honestly essential deep dive for you today.
It really is a profoundly unsettling shift to consider because we're talking about the difference between just experiencing an emotion and actually being secretly governed by it.
Without even realizing a change in leadership has occurred in your own mind.
Exactly, yeah.
And to guide us through diagnosing this exact shift, we are looking at a brilliant piece of source material today. This teaching is drawn from today's Word for You devotional by Pastor Prosper Anang.
Yes, specifically we are exploring day 2 of a really powerful 21-day series. It is titled, Mastering Your Anger, a 21-day journey from bondage to dominion.
And the mission for our deep dive today is, well, it is highly practical. We are going to help you, the listener, diagnose your own relationship with anger.
Right.
We want to help you understand the psychological and spiritual mechanisms of how it takes control and explore the actionable steps provided to reclaim governance over your own mind.
To lay the groundwork for all of this, the devotional roots this concept in one of the oldest narratives in human history, which is the story of Cain and Abel in Genesis chapter 4.
Oh yeah, classic test.
But it analyzes this ancient story through a very specific lens, and we all know the tragic ending out in the field, right?
Right, we know what happens there.
But Pastor Prosper Anang focuses entirely on the psychological state just prior to that event. When Cain's offering was rejected, the text says his countenance fell.
Meaning he was visibly, intensely angry.
Exactly, he was fuming.
Okay, so let's unpack this for a second because there's this brilliant special analogy happening here in the devotional. We have the door and we have the field.
The door and the field, yeah.
Cain's ultimate failure, the tragedy of his brother, did not actually begin out in the field.
No, it didn't.
The failure happened at the door of his own heart during his conversation with God. When God approaches him, he doesn't condemn Cain for feeling angry.
Right, which is a crucial detail.
Instead, he issues a warning. He says, sin crouches at the door. Its desire is for you, but you are to rule over it.
What's fascinating here is the introduction of what the author calls a foundational scriptural law.
Oh, right, the governing spiritual principle.
Exactly. This principle states that anger, if it is not actively ruled, does not just remain a neutral feeling.
It doesn't just evaporate.
No, it actively positions itself at the threshold of your mind. It is basically waiting for a vulnerability, an opportunity to transition from a temporary visitor into a permanent master.
Wow.
But God's warning to Cain was actually an assurance. It meant the danger was real and close, but Cain still retained total dominion. He still had the capacity to govern himself.
Let me push back here, though, just a bit, because looking at this ancient wisdom, Solomon also writes in Proverbs that it's better to rule your spirit than to take a city.
Yes, Proverbs 16.32.
Right, but what if your anger is completely justified? Like, what if you are dealing with workplace harassment or systemic injustice or profound betrayal?
That's a very valid point.
Doesn't trying to rule that anger just sound like suppressing a completely normal human response?
It raises an important question. Definitely. And it is crucial to draw a line here between suppression and governance.
Okay, how so?
Well, the author is not suggesting that righteous anger is invalid. When you experience injustice, anger is the correct alarm bell. It is meant to wake you up and motivate you to address the wrong.
Right, the alarm is supposed to ring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The issue is not the alarm bell ringing. The issue is letting the alarm bell become the permanent soundtrack of your life.
Oh, that is a great way to put it.
Think about conquering a fortified city like Solomon mentioned. That is an external battle, but your spirit is the throne room of your entire existence.
The throne room, right.
Whoever sits in that throne room governs everything downstream. Your relationships, your career, your peace. So when you let justified anger sit on the throne, it toxifies the very righteous cause you are trying to defend.
So it's the difference between using anger as fuel for a specific journey and letting anger actually drive the car.
That is absolutely spot on.
Which brings up a central metaphor in today's devotional. The author frames this as the architecture of the heart, distinguishing between anger as a visitor and anger as a master.
I love this metaphor.
Me too. A visitor is someone you receive. You hear them out, you acknowledge their purpose, and then you send them on their way.
Right. Cheers, thanks for coming, goodbye.
Exactly. But a master doesn't ask for permission. A master moves in and starts rearranging the furniture of your life.
And that transition is rarely loud. To underscore this, we really have to look at the quote provided in the text. Pastor Prosper Anang's PPA quote for today's devotional is, well, let me just read it exactly.
Please do.
It says, "The moment you stop ruling your anger is the moment your anger begins to rule you. Sin is still crouching at the door, but so is your dominion."
Wow. Sin is crouching, but so is your dominion. That is powerful.
It really is.
So what does this all mean for the person listening right now? Because the idea of a visitor becoming a master makes conceptual sense, but practically speaking, how does someone actually realize they have handed the deed of their mind over to anger?
Right, because it doesn't happen with a formal signing ceremony.
Exactly. There is no paperwork.
No, it is an insidious process. That is why the text asks a really piercing diagnostic question for you to sit with.
Okay, what is the question?
When anger visits you now, does it still leave when you ask it to?
Ouch. That is convicting.
To help answer that, Pastor Prosper Anang outlines 3 specific, highly practical diagnostic markers to help you identify when anger has shifted from a passing feeling into a settled stronghold.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the first sign that anger has become a master is when it outlives its cause.
Yes. If we connect this to the bigger picture of how our brains process threats, a visitor leaves once the threat is resolved.
Right.
But a master lingers because it is always looking for new threats. This is when you find yourself replaying an offense for days, weeks, or even years.
The initial incident is long gone.
Exactly. The person who wronged you might have even moved away, But the anger is still coloring every unrelated conversation you have.
Because you are keeping the loop open. You are feeding the visitor until it gets too big to leave.
Spot on.
The devotional gives a really relatable example here of a believer who is repeatedly disrespected at work. Now, feeling frustrated in the office is the visitor arriving with legitimate business.
Absolutely valid.
But if that person comes home, replays the slight over dinner, starts suspecting all their colleagues of sabotage, and brings a bitter, defensive tone into their family life.
The visitor has quietly taken over the household.
Exactly.
And notice the mechanism there, right? The anger didn't just stay at work. It actively crossed the threshold into the home.
It moved in.
Yes, and once it sets up camp and outlives its cause, it doesn't just sit quietly.
Yep.
It actually starts taking the wheel of your life, which brings us to the second diagnostic sign.
Okay, what is the second sign?
It is when anger begins making your decisions for you.
I think of this like downloading an app that asks for permission to track your location just once.
Oh, that is a great analogy.
But then it quietly runs in the background forever. It drains your battery, tracks your every move, and you don't even realize it's happening until your phone dies.
Yes, exactly.
You look back at a situation. Maybe you ended a friendship over something small, or you sent a harsh passive-aggressive email, or you purposely withheld a kindness from your spouse, and you realize after the fact that you didn't actually make that choice.
The background app made it.
But the background app made
It
it.
is a highly accurate way to view it. When anger is the master, it operates as a filter through which all incoming data is processed.
Right, it skews everything.
You lose your objective decision-making ability because the anger is selectively highlighting information that justifies its continued presence.
Yeah.
You are no longer acting, You are entirely reactive.
Which is terrifying, honestly. You become a passenger in your own life.
You really do.
And that leads to the third sign, which might be the most insidious one of all, honestly.
Oh, definitely.
It is when anger starts requiring your identity to sustain it.
The linguistic shift here is critical to observe. Language shapes reality. When anger becomes a master, we stop describing it as something we are experiencing and start describing it as something we are.
Wow. Yeah. We use phrases like, well, I've always had a temper. Or, I'm just a blunt person, deal with it.
Exactly. And by saying that, you are quietly handing over the ownership papers.
You are resigning yourself to the idea that this isn't a temporary state. It is a fundamental pillar of your personality.
Yes, you are claiming it. The author gives a very convicting example regarding parenting here.
Right. The parent with a disobedient child.
Yes, a parent dealing with a disobedient child might start with righteous concern, which is just a visitor. But how does that warp into bitterness?
Well, it is a subtle erosion of boundaries, right?
Exactly. Righteous concern addresses a specific behavior. But if that concern isn't ruled, it morphs into a general assumption of the child's bad intentions.
The parent starts looking for flaws just to confirm their frustration.
Spot on. Over time, that necessary correction calcifies into a settled, constant harshness that defines the entire atmosphere of the home.
The parent begins to identify as the enforcer.
Right, and the anger simply resides there as the dominant culture of the household.
It is a slow fade from dealing with a problem to becoming a hostile environment.
It really is.
So if someone is listening to this deep dive right now, and they are recognizing these 3 diagnostic signs, so their anger outlives its cause, it makes decisions for them, and it has started to merge with their identity, what is the action plan?
How do we fix it?
Right. How do we go into the settings and force quit this background app?
Well, this is where the devotional transitions from diagnosis to what it calls kingdom application.
Okay, let's get into those.
The first step is radical awareness, which the author frames as asking the Holy Spirit to reveal exactly where anger has lingered beyond its warrant.
Because you cannot evict a tenant if you refuse to acknowledge they live there in the first place.
Precisely.
And practically, the devotional advises tracking your decisions, not just your feelings, over the next few days. Don't just ask yourself, am I feeling mad? Ask, did I make that choice, or did my anger make that choice?
Following that awareness, the next structural element of Pastor Prosper Anang's teaching involves the Speak Life declarations.
Oh, I loved this part.
It directly addresses that third diagnostic sign regarding identity. If you have been saying, I have always had a temper, you must actively replace that language.
Because words shape thrones.
Exactly. So, for Speak Life Declaration 1, you begin to declare things like, I am learning to rule my spirit.
Right, you are changing the narrative.
Then Speak Life Declaration 2 might focus on reclaiming your peace, declaring that anger does not dictate your reactions.
And Speak Life Declaration 3 reinforces that dominion,
Right.
choosing forgiveness over bitterness.
Yes. The declarations are designed to literally rewire how you view your own capacity. You have to use your words to decide who gets to sit on your throne.
I really love that. You are asserting that you still have the capacity to steer the ship.
Absolutely.
The devotional is incredibly reassuring on this point. It reminds us that, just like God told Cain at the door, your dominion is still intact.
It hasn't gone anywhere.
Right. The ability to rule has not been permanently revoked, no matter how long the anger has been in charge.
And to fully reclaim that throne room, the text provides structured prophetic intercessions and decrees. It actually culminates in Pastor Prosper Anang's prophetic prayer for his global audience.
Let's break those terms down for a second, because prophetic intercessions and decrees can sound a bit like heavy theological jargon for some.
Sure. Yeah.
If we are looking at the mechanism of what is actually happening there, how does a decree work in this context?
Think of a decree like verbally serving an eviction notice to your own subconscious.
Oh, I like that. An eviction notice.
The text talks about canceling the legal ground of anger. In this context, legal ground is like a loophole in a contract.
Like terms and conditions you didn't read.
Exactly. Through your past agreements, like saying, oh, I've always been this way, the anger has tricked you into believing it has a right to live in your mind.
Wow.
But by issuing a decree, you are closing that loophole. And this is supported by the further jurisdictional study section of the devotional.
Right, where it brings in supporting scriptures.
Yes. Further jurisdictional study 1 brings in James 4.7, which instructs believers to submit to God and resist the devil.
And when you resist, he will flee.
Exactly. You are stating out loud that this anger no longer has jurisdiction over you. And further jurisdictional study too might look at Ephesians 4 about not letting the sun go down on your wrath.
You are finding the loophole, closing it, and demanding the property back.
Exactly that.
It is a legislative approach to your own mental health and spiritual well-being. You aren't just, crossing your fingers and hoping the anger eventually packs up and leaves.
No, you have to be active.
You are recognizing it as an unlawful occupier. You are exercising your authority to dismantle that stronghold.
And familiarizing yourself with your own authority is exactly why those jurisdictional studies are in there. The entire methodology here, the awareness, the changed language, the decrees, it is all about moving from passive victimhood to active governance.
Okay, let's pull all of this together because we have covered a tremendous amount of ground in dissecting today's Word for You devotional by Pastor Prosper Anang.
We really have.
We started by exploring the vital threshold between a human feeling and spiritual bondage. We looked at how Cain's failure wasn't the emotion of anger, but the refusal to rule it at the door of his heart.
And then we examined the mechanics of how a visitor becomes a master. We detailed those 3 diagnostic signs.
Right, when the anger outlives the original offense.
When it begins operating like a background app, making your daily decisions.
And when it tricks you into adopting it as part of your core identity.
And finally, we looked at the practical framework for reclaiming the throne room of your spirit.
By tracking your decisions, utilizing the Speak Life declarations to change your identity language, and issuing decrees to cancel the legal ground that anger has claimed.
Self-governance is an active, daily process of checking IDs at the door of your heart.
That is a great summary. So, if you are listening right now and you realized you hit all 3 of those diagnostic signs, remember the core promise of this text. The door has not closed on you. You still hold the keys to your own house.
The capacity for governance remains yours. The enemy may be crouching at the door, but your dominion is fully intact.
To leave you with a final thought to mull over as you go about the rest of your day. Well, earlier we talked about anger rearranging the furniture of your life once it becomes the master.
Yes.
So I want you to think about a specific, lingering frustration that you are harboring right now. Something that has definitely outstayed its welcome.
We all have one.
We really do. If you had to physically live inside a house that was built entirely out of the decisions, the spoken words, and the bitter silences that this specific anger has inspired over the last month, what would that house look like?
Oh, wow.
How dark would the rooms be? How sharp would the edges of the furniture be? And more importantly, would you actually want to live in it?
That is the ultimate test of who is ruling your spirit, isn't it?
It really is. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. This teaching has been drawn from today's Word for You devotional by Pastor Prosper Anang. We hope it gave you some clarity, a deeper understanding of your own mental architecture, and the encouragement to take back the deed to your own house. Until next time.